Well, gang, how would you like to try some independence on for size? Nope, that is a surefire setup. How could they say no to that? Okay, the reason I called this meeting is to find out what you kids might like to do after school when Mrs. Patterson moves away in a couple of months. That's pretty open, right? No, I have not completely lost it. In fact, what I'm doing here is trying to make sure I don't. You see, ever since I heard our sitter was moving away, I've been trying to figure out if my kids might be up to spending their after-school time alone. It's not an easy question. But fortunately, I had some help. AAL has put together some great materials that made me ask myself questions we all need to ask ourselves and our children about what it really means to be home alone. And not just families like ours who are thinking about doing it on a regular basis, but all families, because all kids eventually will spend time alone, and they need to learn good skills to assure their safety, to help them use their time alone well, and to help them feel secure and responsible.
Beep.
As parents, we need to prepare to check out our neighborhoods, our homes, and of course, our children. Before I even mentioned it to my kids, I took a lot of time to scope out whether or not time alone was right for each of them. It's not just an age thing, you know. It's about, well, maturity. Being able to be safe, being able to use time alone well, and not feel bored or sad or angry. So I took a long look at my kids and the way they usually act and react, and realized, for one thing, that leaving one in charge of the other was a lousy idea. But finally, I decided they were ready, at least to give it a try. So I started planning, making sure that other vital conditions were right too, like resources, carpooling, and home safety. The last thing I want to come home to is something like this. Well, it does happen, you know. And even if we're not talking about the most dangerous extremes, we parents need to know that our kids are happy and secure and spending positive time alone.
Big party.
But first, I have to ask my kids about it in a way that lets them tell me their true feelings. That's what I was rehearsing when you came in.
Honey, I'm home.
And now you get to see me try it out on those characters. Hey, did you have a good game, kids?
We brutalized the dads. Yeah.
Ooh, poor dads.
Poor old me, starving to death.
Oh, now if I feed you, will you have the strength to discuss an idea I've been thinking about?
If it's a good one, right, Mighty Matt?
Come on, let's go have some lunch. We got cheese, we got peanut butter, we got turkey.
No, so I scored so much more goals than no, I know the most.
Much more too? Great. Great. Well, it sounds like you both did a good job. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
I had the idea that when Mrs. Patterson moves away, you kids won't be able to go to her house after school anymore.
Brilliant, Mom.
Thanks, Matt. May I continue?
Bummer. So we have to find a new sitter?
Well, that's one option. We could look into after-school programs.
I don't know, Mom. On top of baseball and band?
I know you don't want to give those up.
No way.
Well, we could try to find some other arrangement. Or we could try having you kids spend some time here at home on your own for a while. See how it works.
Yes. I was hoping you'd say that.
Really? What do you think, Matt?
Well, how'll I get to practice?
Well, we can arrange a carpool for that. So let's just leave the practical stuff for now and talk about how you feel.
Well, she doesn't get to boss me around.
I'm gonna tell on you, young man.
Absolutely not. You are both responsible for your very own selves.
All right. And 10 zillion rules and chores. Water plants, empty trash,
Not quite that many. Besides, we'll decide on them together.
Yeah, and get lots of food. Right, so you can eat your way into the hospital. What then, Mom?
It's a good question. We'll take plenty of time to practice for safety and emergencies, so none of us have to worry. Anything else inside those heads that needs to air out?
Well, could get kind of boring.
Absolutely not. Boring is off limits. We'll plan lots of things for you to do, and we will stock up on the stuff you need to keep busy and have fun. So far, so good. I guess it pays to dig in, read up, and scope it out. And if the kids are into it like mine seem to be, then it's time to get ready. Good job. Now I know just how to find you.
Art supplies, yay. Here's the phone list. Peanut butter, yum. Thirsty.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, all set. There you go. Now, are you sure we can
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Okay, now what do you say we make a backup plan so you can get in the house if you lose your key and Mr. Lundquist isn't home?
Like a hiding place for another key?
I think another neighbor would be safer, don't you?
What about Miss Lee? She's always around. You guys want to come over? Sure. Bye.
Bye. See? They're full of answers and questions. And we all have to answer a lot of the same questions about having our kids home alone, no matter who's in our family or where we live. The answers will vary according to the way our families work and the nature of our home turf. But the questions will stay pretty much the same. Take our doctor, James Gordon, and his family, who live in the suburbs.
Oh, thank you, honey. We're involved with house rules at the moment, and involved is the key, since we want Sharina to help make the safety and house rules and to set the consequences that she's going to have to live by. Now, she's pretty savvy about the basic ideas, but still needed some guidance on the finer points. Like today, for instance. Hi, Pumpkin. How are you?
Okay. Say you and Polly haven't made plans ahead of time, but swimming gets canceled and you decide to come here. What do?
Easy. We walk home from school together, and then we call her mom at work to tell her where she is and when she'll be home.
What about calling her mom from school?
I guess, if the phone's not tied up like it always is.
Well, you might save Polly a walk. Her mom wants her home right away.
It takes 6 minutes, Dad.
That's true, Pumpkin. I guess it's not worth quibbling over, as long as you make the call right away.
And let me know, too, when you call to check in.
No problem.
Oh, it is hot today, isn't it? Come over here and let me fix your hair. As a matter of fact, as long as we know where you are and who's with you, we probably won't run into problems, unless you're spending your time watching TV.
No TV, Mom? Never?
Well, never is too big a word for me.
Not for me.
Come on, Dad, have a heart. What if it's a nasty day and I don't have plans and I've done my homework?
Well, you could read a book or a magazine, write a story or a letter.
I don't think that's fair.
And I don't want your brain to rot while we're not looking.
Well, what if Sharina makes a list of all the programs that she'd like to watch? Then we all can decide which ones might be okay once in a while.
I'd go for that.
I guess.
It's not that tough if you keep an open mind. But I have to admit, when it comes to safety, I'm what my daughter would call a freak. So Celia and I decided that we'd really take the time and talk about it with Sharina in small chunks, and always explaining why. And also get right down in the trenches and rehearse with her. Now picture this.
So you're on your way home and you're coming up to the house. What do you do if something looks strange? A window is broken or the door is open?
I don't go in.
Why not?
'Cause somebody might be in the house.
Exactly. And we don't want you walking in on them.
You and me both.
But if everything checks out, you go inside. You be sure and lock that door behind you. You got it?
In case someone might be following me.
That's right. And if someone unexpected comes up and rings the doorbell, what do you do?
Keep it locked while I talk to them.
No matter what.
Who is it?
Oh, I'm a friend of your father's. Can you let me in?
No, I can't.
Do you know why?
Because if they're up to no good, and the door's open even a crack, they could push on it and force their way in and gobble me up.
That's right. Even if they say your mom is dying in the street somewhere, don't open that door.
What if they say it's my dad?
Well, no, seriously, Sharina. Unless we've told you who to expect and when, you don't open that door. Got it?
But what if it really sounds like an emergency?
Then you offer to call 911 for them, or suggest that they call from a payphone in the square.
And whatever you do, never let a person at the door know you're alone.
Same thing if the phone rings.
Right, because they could come around later and catch you off guard.
So what am I supposed to do? Try and scare them off by saying, "Excuse me, sir, will I get my big, mean, macho daddy?"
That's not bad for starters.
Get serious, Dad.
I am serious, baby.
Where are we going?
To try it out. Now let's pretend you're home alone and the doorbell rings. Oh, boy, is that good. And so was our practice session. In fact, it was so successful, we tried it again the following week. Street safety. I actually got Sharina to play the bad guy.
And guess who played cute little me?
Now you show me how you take care of that, okay? Let's take a look. Cure, honey.
Remember, sweetie, if anyone comes up close to you, you keep your distance, okay?
Yes, Mommy.
Hey! Excuse me, little girl. Did you see a sweet little golden retriever puppy run by?
Sorry.
He wiggled out of his collar and ran down this way. It's freezing and he'll never make it if I don't find him soon. Help me, please.
I'd really like to help you, sir, but my big, mean, macho daddy is waiting for me at home right this very minute. Now, you clearly have the idea, right?
Yeah.
So this time, let's swap roles.
But it's more fun being the bad guy.
The tricky part is that the bad guy is usually cool enough so he or she comes off being sweet and sincere.
I guess. So what's the deal this time?
You go over there and you just walk. Are you Sharina Gordon of 25 Aspen Street?
That's me.
I'm a colleague of your father's, and he sent me to take you to the hospital.
Why? What happened?
Well, there's been an accident, and your mom.
Wait a minute. What's the secret password?
He didn't tell me that, but I assure you that this is...
If you come any closer, I'll scream. And my mom's waiting for me just inside that door, and she'll call the cops.
Yes! None of us want to scare our kids, but they all need to learn safety skills, whether it's on the street or at home, like knowing how and when to get help if there's a household or medical emergency, and how to handle a simple burn or cut. Good job, honey. But that's not the whole picture. We all want our kids to enjoy their time away from us. So we learned to ask our daughter what she'd like to do, instead of assuming we knew. Right, honey?
Uh-huh. And when they forget, I remind them.
I was just talking to one of our lab technicians, Senor Rivera, who lives in the city with her son and grandson. They're a couple of steps ahead of us in preparing for Carlos to spend time alone.
Bueno, mijo. We just want to make sure we're together about a couple of things.
Gracias, Mama.
Sure, like what?
Tell us exactly what happens when you come home from school.
Okay. I lock the door, hang up my jacket and key, call you, change my clothes, feed Zapata, and stuff my face with good things to eat.
Excelente. And then?
And then I get to do any of the other things on our list.
Sí, señor. And when you have football?
Soccer, please, abuela.
Sí, soccer.
I'll do my homework first.
Muy bien. And are we agreed about friends coming home?
If you want to know the truth, I still don't understand why I can't have Chucky and Ernesto over at the same time.
Come here, have a seat. All we want to do right now is see how things work out in a calm way. Then if things go all right, maybe we can make some changes. ¿De acuerdo?
Okay.
Carlos, is there anything you could think of that would make you feel more comfortable, more happy?
Nope, I'm all set. I got supplies, I got phone numbers, I have plenty of good things to eat. And of course, I got my music.
For us, the trial period looks very good. But the most important thing is that Carlos seems to have fun. And he shows he feels good about taking responsibility. And we make certain that he knows we're always close to him by showing him our interest, by asking him questions about his time alone, what he needs, what he feels, what he does not like. And we watch carefully for signs that tell us what he does not say out loud. We make sure we encourage him and we praise him for the good things he does. Am I leaving anything out? James?
Well, we found that talking with people who see Sharina when we're not around is another good way to keep in touch with how she's doing. And in terms of telltale signs, we watch for things, like all the lights being on when we come home, which could mean our daughter's afraid. Anything else? Sarah?
Just to remind everybody to use the AAL materials. You know, I found them so helpful and interesting, they made me want to learn more. So I went to the library and found lots of other good stuff. I guess the bottom line is that it's up to us to make sure that our children don't feel that spending time alone is being alone. So we need to do everything we can to help them grow and feel good when they're on their own.